because I think this is really cool and really a really good concept to begin wrapping your head around early before the system launches to kind of get your plan ready. So, Icosa is minted in two ways, through the HSI sales and the Hedron burns. There is also the NFTs, but these are the two main ways. You have and then so the formulas for each are as follows, which I described previously. The HSI sales formula for that mintable Icosa is the advanced Hedron divided by the T-share rate, and the Hedron burn formula is the Hedron burned divided by the T-share rate. And so, if you've listened to some of my streams about Hedron, one thing that I talk about a lot is the distribution model of Hedron and how it's tied to the share rate. And because the amount of Hedron that's able to be minted is tied to the share rate, it becomes asymptotic towards zero, which means it becomes an incredibly scarce token over time. And the reason why it's so scarce is because it's tied to the share rate, which, as we all know, is going to get exponentially greater as the system ratchets away and as more people end stake and greater stakes come to fruition. And so if you look, the distribution model of Icosa is also fundamentally tied to this up and to the right asset that is the T-share rate in terms of hex. And so I want to go into this very specifically. So let's look at the HSI sale formula. So the advanceable Hedron divided by the T-share rate. So you have the B shares times the mintable days divided by the T-share rate. Now, if you notice, we actually have the T-share rate in this ratio twice. And we have it in it twice in a way that makes it more rare. So the more B shares you have, the more advanceable Hedron you have. Sorry. There we go. What this means... sorry. Lost my train of thought for a second. So the more B shares you have, the more advanceable Hedron you have. But we know over time, B shares are going to get more and more scarce. T shares have gone from 67 cents, and to the peak, it was about 10 grand, something ridiculous. And so just as T shares have become prohibitively expensive for most people, unless you leverage your time for 10 to 15 years, B shares, because it's just a denomination of the same asset, are also going to get more and more difficult to obtain. So stakes are going to have less and less B shares over time. And this B shares is in the numerator of this ratio. And when the numerator of a ratio gets smaller, we all know that the result of that ratio gets smaller as well. But the T-share rate always goes up. So the price of a T-share in terms of hex always goes up as people unstake their hex, and the people who have the largest ROI in the system ratchet up the T-share rate. And so this number, the numerator, trends to go down, and the denominator trends to go up. And as we all know with ratios, if you increase the denominator, the result is a decrease or a lower number. So both parts of the scarcity of the Icosa distribution model, when it comes to the HSI sacking, it gets exponentially more difficult to obtain to like squared, because the share rate is in this formula twice. And I think that's pretty incredible. So I thought Hedron was a really scarce asset, and it's looking like this token Icosa is going to be even more scarce. And then, of course, we also get Icosa from the Hedron that is burned within the entire the global Hedron burned every day. And then this also has the T-share rate within its formula as well. The T-share rate goes up, and the Hedron is burned is divided by that number. And so Icosa distributed to Hedron stakers is also going to get more exponentially rare. And so in all aspects of the Icosa coin, we have, in all aspects of the Icosa distribution model, we see the T-share rate fundamentally tied to it. And so what this means is, just as it's going to get harder and harder to get trustless interest in the hex system, Just like it's going to get harder and harder to mint Hedron over time, it's going to get harder and harder to get Icosa as the hex system continues to inflate and continues to evolve over time. And yeah, so that is all I have for you guys today. I think that is a sufficient amount of information